All right. So, I guess introductions are at hand because we've not actually revealed or anything, right? So, I'm Shadowshade. I'm the voice that you guys generally hear on a lot of the videos. I'm the one that generally causes problems, according to Twitch. And then over there on the other side, we have Twitch, who generally doesn't join us because his computer has had issues recently with his hard drives.
What can I say? Maybe I just like making excuses. I seem to be good at doing that to deflect the blame.
But he's the one that does do a lot of the shenanigans, so killing me with various different tools.
Railguns.
Railguns. Grenades.
Double snapshot.
Yeah, or doing stupid things. When he goes quiet, I know something bad is about to happen. Generally.
Or I forgot to unmute my mic.
Or you forgot to unmute your mic and you've been talking to me for the last 5 minutes. You're like, God damn, why is this kid not listening to me?
Yeah, man. I just thought you hated me.
Oh, anyways. So, you didn't watch Citizencon at all, if I'm not mistaken, last year, huh?
No.
Generally
No, I
not.
didn't.
I don't think you don't really watch most of the videos, or do you? Like the Inside Star Citizen and Calling All Devs that they had beforehand?
Not really. I tend to not notice when they're released. I'm a big fan of the game, but I miss a lot of the live form content. Yeah, I think that's the way I'm thinking of it. I miss a lot of that kind of content because it's just... I have a harder time sitting through videos of people just rambling on and trying to act all energetic and enigmatic. It's
at a workplace setting?
very, yeah. It's very off-putting.
Well, no, to be fair, some of them used to be very long, and their hour-long ones can be difficult
They
sometimes.
just ramble!
They
They
do.
just ramble for like 10 minutes on nonsense.
There's a lot of good information.
Not even subjects. It's like, oh, I'm just going to tell you a bit about myself.
Well,
What?
I mean, that is something that you do tend to do sometimes at work, at least at my job. I think actually so I'm a software engineer, and since we've gone work from home, I think we might be a little bit more productive, because if we're in office, we just talk to each other. We get on a Teams meeting, we're going to be there for about 2 hours, just not talk about work, but it started that way. That's not how it ended.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, and then I think, so I joined in 2017, and I actually followed the development first, and then I started watching it, and I was a little shocked. I was like, oh, why didn't I never heard about this game beforehand? Because it looked so awesome, and then when I started playing it, I realized why, because a lot of people do claim it's a scam, and after a lot of disappointment, it's like, okay, I enjoy the game, and I'd have like big sprints of just like playing it. Actually, the first time I got it, I played for like 12 hours, just got on a weekend. It was after a college class.
Rookie.
Yeah,
Rookie
numbers.
numbers.
Rookie numbers. Rookie mistaking my hopes up too. But you joined later, right? I didn't even know that you were playing for the first bit.
Oh shit, dude! Like I saw videos online, I think on TikTok or something, and I went, "Hey, that looks kind of fun." And so, I bought the game just to give it a go. I was like, what's like $45-$60? It wasn't that bad. Yeah, that it hurt my wallet a lot more than I thought in the long run, but that's neither here nor there. No, my first time I sat down and played, I played for over 24 hours straight without even noticing. Next thing I know, it's like noon on a Sunday, and my roommate's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "How long you been playing?" I'm like, "I've been playing since I bought it." And they're like, "You bought that yesterday at like 8 in the morning." Oh no. So I mean, I had a really great first time. when I wasn't being murked by other players, but
Yeah,
that's just that's how it is.
the rampant murder hobo that's come
Oh.
about.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I bought it. I want to say sometime around October of 2022, maybe. So I've been around for about 2 years. I want to say.
Yeah, I think
But it could
that
be
I think that lines up because I remember that's about the time I saw you were on it and I was just like, oh, Mike, you play Star Citizen? Because it after I'd realized like all the letdowns, I didn't want to really tell any friends about it because you don't want to get them sucked into a scam, you know. That's,
Yeah, I know.
yeah. But I think they have come a far ways recently after that horrible 318 mess. But anyways, Citizencon last year was really good. So I didn't go, but I was able to watch it online. So I just kind of took the weekend to myself to sit and watch. And there were a lot of things that were announced. Actually, I guess what would be like a percentage? So you don't know all the things that were announced and everything. I've only talked to you about a few of them. But what would you say the percentage of... They promised 100% completion on a set list of features. Just a rough guess, what would you say their percent so far completion is? Not talking about this week where a lot of things are happening.
Well, knowledge-wise, I know people have been a little unhappy about under delivery, so I'm gonna go with 65-ish%.
65. That's a pretty generous considering people are
I was gonna
unhappy.
say 45, but people are gonna be unhappy at a 5% drop in delivery.
That is true. And honestly, I think this year they delivered a lot of great stuff, but I think they just had that issue where they overpromised again. So anyways, let me share my screen here. So the site is some wonderful content creator went ahead and put this together and made a list of all the items that they had talked about. So it looks like you're sort of close. So 27 out of the 56. And so 28 would be the halfway mark. So it would be like 48, 49%, I think. Just doing some rough math off the top of my head. Percent of the features. And looking at them, so the biggest features that they have right here, static server meshing, and it's just because this week's kind of important. This is going to Evo, supposedly, Friday. This has been created and we've played in it, so it's kind of tied to this, you know. So these two are going to go into 4.0, potentially into Evo this week. I think this is only part of it, and then of course base building. I don't think base building is going to be anytime.
I don't think it's coming this year at all.
And if I remember correctly, I think what they mentioned at the Citizencon last year isn't that they were going to have it complete, that they're just going to start it this year. So I had no expectation, but maybe other people had expectation about base building. So you didn't see that video, but to talk about it briefly, they showed basically what you would expect to see like No Man's Sky, where they built a building and a miner, and they're collecting resources from it. And they showed that off at Citizencon last year. So, but overall, I think for the big items, they might get these two done. We haven't played the engineering game mode yet, but we have seen the relays.
Yeah,
So,
and I mean it's available to test in, or at least it was, I don't know about now, in Arena Commander.
right. And so if we extend it,
it's like half released.
Yeah, if we were to extend it, I would say they might be able to get this out this year, but holiday seasons are coming up, so this one is at least, it's not completely forgotten about. Like, they got some stuff into players' hands. You didn't see this, so this is a scan mode, so certain helmets, like helmets made for bounty hunters or whatnot, you can actually scan and see through walls and whatnot, which I don't know how I feel about. Kind of reminds me of Call of Duty and, trying to engage wall hacks. But supposedly there's going to be more details to it too, so you can actually scan like a person and get details about them. So when they get rid of that little carrot above a bounty's head, this is how you can actually tell who the bounty is, I'm assuming, is you scan, you see their actual name and their ID, so that way you know who the target is. It's going to be a little harder rather than just having this stupid little arrow right now, which I do think is unfair for criminals. So your location is broadcast everywhere.
Yep. And you don't know who's hunting you.
Yeah. I was disappointed about this one. No downloadable maps. That was a huge disappointment for me because being able to, I was excited. I thought maybe exploration gameplay would come out. You can make your own map. You could sell it. We have not seen that yet. So in the future, you can go and actually download maps for locations like on Orison. You don't have it by default, I think. You'd have to go and download it like probably at the store or something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And of course, that would go into data running, being able to sell and share that to your friends. The kiosk and terminal updates, they're very small, but those worked well. I don't like the looting screen update. I just go back to the old one, but I think you like the new looting screen, right?
I don't mind it. I do have issues with trying to pick up a third weapon. Sometimes you end up just dropping one of the ones on your back or something.
But you can always go back to the old one if you want to, so.
Yeah. But that was just there to make looting a lot quicker, and in some instances it has, where you're able to quickly open up, search through their armor, and see all their weapons, and quickly take them off or equip them mid-combat. And that was the whole point of the new looting screen, was to combat loot, make it easier to combat loot.
No, that's true. If you need ammo from someone, I think the new one is fantastic. So I don't generally do that too frequently, so that's why I don't like it. But I guess there's a lot of people who may. And then honestly, I didn't expect base building. And I don't, talking about next year, I don't expect, I think if anything happens with base building next year, it's going to be like very minor, like you claim a spot and maybe put down a small building, but it's not going to be anything.
It'll be a pre-gen kind of thing, not build your own.
Right, which I think they're only doing pre-gen, but it's going to be like very limited, I think, so.
Oh. Then it'll just be a little outpost, kind of like what am I thinking of? Those age shelters?
Yeah, like those.
It's just a little bunk.
Just something basic where you can, just for them to start testing it, I bet. So, but yeah, the other thing that was really big last year, just so that you're aware, is they had the whole like we held the line for Squadron 42, and Squadron 42 was announced to be in polishing phase. So a lot of the devs are moving from Squadron 42 to Star Citizen, trying to port everything over, and they're just kind of polishing it. So with that being said, just to start off, I think next year they're going to announce, or this upcoming start Citizencon, I think for next year, I think they're going to announce a release date for Squadron 42. And I think primarily it is not necessarily that they're ready and they've got everything done. I think they're running out of time and they have to. I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Well, you ask me, polishing implies that it'll probably be done within the next 6 to 12 months, and, well, I mean, I'm looking at my calendar, and, hey man, that's kind of right now.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe we, I don't know. Honestly, I think you're probably right. They have to release it instead of, or ready to release it. It's been polishing for about a year, with no other news. Usually when a game is polishing their features, they're still putting out teaser trailers, getting you all hyped up, and even if the release date says like to be determined or whatever, they're still trying to provide you with, get you hyped, get you ready. And maybe they under deliver by a couple months, but you know, it's usually polished means we're done. Now we're just cleaning up animations and trying to find any bugs in our thing. And with how long it's taken them, that kind of feels like it's not so much the case.
Yeah, and I know. I wonder if they're trying to like make sure that they're really careful, because there have been games that have taken that year in polishing, you know, and we've seen a lot of flops recently. Starfield. I mean, it's Bethesda, though. You kind of expect bugs in the game, right? But Cyberpunk...
The same thing about Star Citizen and its affiliated games.
Right. And Halo Infinite, too, right? So perhaps they're just trying to make... I think they really have to make it succeed, because I think if Squadron 42 fails, everyone's going to lose hope in the project. That's my own personal thoughts. It may get pushed off. I'm not saying it's going to get released next year. I just think they're going to have to give a date. And then with static server meshing, I bet that's going to be out this year, at least in PTU. So what do you think about like another system? Do you think they might announce another system?
Well, it's possible. However, unless they've been developing it very secretly for a long time, I don't see, if they do announce one, unless they've been developing it secretly for a while, I don't see it coming to fruition anytime soon.
No, that's fair. I think our best candidate would probably be Nyx, with what you had mentioned, because it would take them a long time to develop things, and I think the only one that we know that they've developed and working on is like Lesky Station, which is the biggest location in Nyx. And Nyx is kind of a cheap shot, so it's a not very filled out of a solar system. And I think they might have a few of those, which are solar systems that don't have a ton of stuff in there. So maybe we get to see that, but I don't think that they're going to really be like huge, interesting sites. I don't think we're going to see anything massive. I think Stanton's going to be our most populated one for a bit. So there's Seoul. Let's see, I think if I remember correctly, it's down here. There might be a way to search on here. There we go. On the bottom, Stanton. So Stanton has a connection to Pyro, Magnus, and Terra that we know about. We've shown all those off. I think it's Pyro. I'm going to go to Pyro. I want to say Pyro has a connection to Nyx. Yeah. So over there, they have a connection to Nyx. And if we look at Nyx, it's a very small... So there's Delamar, which they had in the game for a long time, but has been moved. You know, it's going to get moved over here. And then you've got Nyx 1, Nyx 2, Nyx 3, way out there. And honestly, I think this might be a good candidate because there's not much on these planets, which means that it would be fairly easy to develop. But it does also have 2 rings, so this might be a really good mining area, mining location.
Oh yeah, I was just looking at Terra, and no, it's definitely not going to be Terra.
No, I mean it would be cool.
Has 6 jump points.
I wouldn't mind Terra, but I think another one that they may do would be Magnus, but I think Magnus would be a little bit more work, so I wouldn't imagine it for next year. And then I think another thing is, I think they will talk about and plan on release, because I've talked about it quite a bit, is the bounty hunter system. Being able to actually use those handcuffs and the habs, and, you know...
The fuzzy ones?
The fuzzy... Well, no, not those ones. Not our special ones. Actually apprehend citizens and take them to security centers. I think that's going to come out next year. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it would be.
Well, they're going to talk about it. They're going to try. I should say that.
My biggest issue with trying to bring back your target alive is backspace.
Right. I bet they're going to...
I've had bounties backspace out on me before they're fully dead.
They might need the reputation system for that, but I bet what's going to happen is if you are apprehended and you backspace, you probably still have to take them in, but they might just get to start in prison right away. Does that make sense? So you get to complete it as a bounty hunter, and then they don't have to just sit there while you go get your double hot dog and kind of dick around before turning the player in.
Yeah. All in all, though, I think... I don't know. Maybe it'll be fine, maybe not. We'll see. It would be nice to be able to use those prisoner pods on like the Cuddy Blue or ships like that, you know. But
yeah,
beggars can't use. Like I think the Hawk has a prisoner seat underneath it.
Some of the older ships, yeah, which may need reworks.
You can use that one. But they have to get in it themselves. That's full role play right there.
So, maybe. I think they're going to talk about it and announce it. I don't know if they'll get it finished yet. But that does bring up another thing. I think the reputation system, they've been talking about it for a long time. I think, not necessarily that they're going to do it, but they're going to do something around either the reputation system or basically like the idea of the death of a spaceman or the importance of your character. So start imposing like more how did I put this? More consequences to, as you mentioned, just pushing backspace. So maybe you lose reputation with certain guilds, maybe it costs money to regenerate or something. I think they're probably going to do something that makes it so that tier 0 death of a spaceman starts to come to fruition.
Yeah. We'll see. It's gonna be a rocky launch, I have a feeling. Maybe we'll see a change to like how much power is to your ship or in your ship, how much cooling power you got. I think that's really the only.
And batteries too, because they're going to be pulling batteries in, so you can store energy to pull from in like an emergency situation. And then I think another thing that would be really cool, and I kind of hope that they do, especially with what you are interested in with the Apollo, is I hope that they not only work on the Apollo, but when they do, maybe they focus on some medical gameplay like medical drones. Or actually, and I know that they've talked about it, but I don't know if they started working on it, but actually like making wounds and sustained damage be more meaningful.
Like show scars and all that, yeah.
Yeah, or they talked about like, you know, maybe needing a prosthetic arm because your arm got shot off. Which I will assist you with. As soon as that comes out, I will shoot your arm off so that you can get a robotic arm.
I'll knock out an eye so you have a robo eye then. And you look all weird and messed up. The EVA stuff we were talking about earlier, it's nice and lovely, but I would really like that push-pull system when you get close to a surface. It's a pain still.
EVA is still painful. It's not as painful as it was, but it's still painful, especially at like Comare.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Just gonna put this out here to kind of close it out. They have been talking about recently, because it's all been the road to 4.0. And recently they've been talking about they're preparing the road for Star Citizen 1.0, so like a full release. I don't think that's coming out next year. I think you're probably in the same boat, right? You're laughing at that.
Full release.
Full release. Not
Do
that
you know how
everything's
much
done.
did you promised?
But
Full release means you release everything you promised.
I think they might talk about that, but we shouldn't expect it wouldn't be next year, of course. We're probably 10 more years out before you would get what we expect to be a full release. But they maybe do it early and release only a few systems and say, hey, this is it. We're no longer in alpha. You keep your progress, but we're still making improvements to the game. So,
I mean, obviously they need to keep making improvements. That's the problem with games like this, live service games. You gotta always be improving something. Otherwise, people are just gonna burn out and not care.
and you have to add content and not take away, because I think that was like Destiny's problem is they added content, but generally it wasn't always great. And then they took away the good content that we had, which isn't fantastic.
I just wanted to come back and play the Red War and Forsaken, and no! I can't play any of it!
Right, and I don't think it's not Destiny. I don't think Star Citizen is going to have this problem because of the way it's set up. But if they're not releasing enough content, then it could still out. I think the only saving grace to that would be base building, just because sandbox games can extend things for a little bit longer, because you can just get caught up in building your own sort of stuff and maybe having wars. But it won't be the end all. I think they still have to add content to the game. And of course they need to make more money, and I guess it could be our final discussion right here. What are your thoughts? Do you think that they're gonna stop selling ships?
No, not at all. They are probably gonna up the price once the game comes out.
Yeah. And probably not.
And then they're gonna
do away with
make
insurances.
the excuse of, oh no, they'll probably keep insurance.
Well, I mean, like lifetime insurances. They'll do away, so you have to buy only 12 months or something.
Yeah, but like I think they'll up the price and then say some BS about how if you had supported the game during release, that's when you could have bought this ship for a lower price and yada yada.
I mean, a game company does have to make money, and
yeah, they do.
The insurance might get a little bit fuzzy there, because I think people might get pissed off if you buy a ship, 12 months pass, and then you have no more insurance on it, so you lose it. I think they're gonna have to tread that water very carefully. They'll probably have a way for you to either purchase it in game or with real cash to extend that insurance. So
yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's about it. Is there anything else that you wanted to add here?
No, not really.
All right. Well, this Citizencon, I don't think you're going to be watching this year probably either, huh?
Probably not.
So I'll fill you in on all the details. I'll do a better job than I did last year, and hopefully we can enjoy 4.0 here soon. If it's going to EVO, maybe November.
Hopefully.
The long-awaited Pyro. All right. Thanks, Twitch.
All right. Yep. Later.
Later.